You're listening to the Orange Power Podcast, a product of Oklahoma State Athletics. Here are your hosts, Jessica Morrey and the voice of the Cowboys, Dave Hunziker.
It's the bye week for Oklahoma State, so we thought we'd catch up with Coach Gundy and get some thoughts on the first 5 weeks and really what is going to happen during the bye week. So what's on the checklist for the bye week? What do you want to get done?
First off, we want the players and coaches to kind of rehabilitate and catch up on their rest and mentally and physically. So after the Baylor game, we brought the team over at 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon and watched the video and gave our player of the game awards away. We took them over and jogged them in the indoor, did a few corrections for about 15 minutes, and then we let them go. Coaches worked all day to get prepared for that, and then gave them the day off Monday, the players anyway, and then practice Tuesday, practice Wednesday, and then let them have off Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We'll bring them back Sunday evening. Now, the coaches will leave Wednesday night to go recruiting, so they really don't get a break. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is with being a college football coach. And then we'll come back Sunday night and get a little more practice than what would be a normal Sunday, and then would be into a game week. What we're trying to get accomplished is back to basic fundamentals. We want to be able to get good quality drill work on blocking and tackling. Fortunately, we've tackled pretty well this year. Talked about it in the staff meeting this morning that I was particularly pleased with our tackling in second and third level, which means that you're keeping them at a 6 to 8 yard gain instead of a 26 and 28 yard gain. Now the next team we play will be a real challenge because they're skilled. They always have been. They're skilled on the perimeter, skilled in the backfield. Their quarterback can run. So we want to really solidify our basics in blocking and tackling. And it'll also give us a chance to let the young guys get some work. They'll get double the work in practice that they have been getting during the season to kind of get them caught up on things that are important and then keep them in the flow. And then we'd be back in it. So it comes at a good time. We've talked a lot about what the conferences and across the country are doing with open games. And, you want to play 4 or 5 games and then get a break. And this is a good schedule. I've not been a big fan of the 2 open dates, but this one is good the way it's set up.
Do you feel the need during the off week and even beyond to maybe get another running back ready to play? I know you're hopeful Desmond Jackson will be back sooner than later, but of course one never knows exactly how that will go. Is that a priority or not yet?
Jaden Nixon is a true freshman that's been getting a considerable number of snaps in practice. Obviously, he's not played. Would he know what to do? Most of the time. And then hopefully we can get Des back. He has one of those injuries that only he can tell us when he's ready. I thought he'd be ready last week, and I was wrong. So we'll just wait and see where he's at. But with LD being out, we have the 2 backs now that are getting extensive work and taking quite a few hits. So it is a little bit of a concern, but this does give us a chance to get Jaden Nixon some quality work over the next 2 weeks.
Of course, Jalen Warren has just been fantastic. He has had a big workload, and he is in his first year playing games for you compared to a lot of other guys like Chuba Hubbard who had an extensive workload, but he'd been in your program for a while, so you really knew him. Is it any different trying to manage that workload when you're dealing with a player that you haven't had around for an extensive period of time? Or how does that change?
In most cases, yes, but from his arrival on campus, he's been a good example of what his capabilities are in a game. He worked extremely hard in off-season and winter conditioning. He worked extremely hard in the spring. We gave him some carries, and he practices hard. His attitude's good. He believes in himself. He's confident in his ability to extend his body. So I'm not really concerned with him at that point. My concern is the number of hits he takes. because that position is difficult.
Yeah.
But he proved to us early in the year, early in 2021, that he was going to be a pretty durable guy that could carry the workload.
One of the changes you made a couple of weeks ago is you moved Silas Barr from the offensive line to a Cowboy back tight end position. How much can an off week help him and help the continuity of the offensive line now that you're not worried about game planning and those guys can work together on the fundamentals you were talking about?
He's playing catch up, as we know. He's getting some reps, not as many as maybe he can get in the next game, just based on what you mentioned, is he's going to get 6 more practices. I don't think the fans understand a lot of time, but, you do because you watch us. When we get in the season, we only practice twice a week.
Yeah.
People get this feeling of, well, he's been there for 3 weeks. Well, he's only practiced 6 times. It's not the spring. So to make a move during the season is difficult, and we're playing catch up with him, but he's coming along. And there's going to be a point that we're glad that he's at this position, in my opinion. Braden has played good for us and played way over his head, in my opinion, for where I thought he was. Whether his body can hold up the rest of the season or not, I don't know. He's a lighter Cowboy back for the job that we're asking him to do. So far, he's fine, but at some point, he's going to need a break, and that's why we made that move 3 weeks ago.
I was reviewing the analytics through week 5, and according to Pro Football Focus, and he has not played as many snaps as some of the guys on the back end, but defensive line-wise, it's comparable. Your highest graded defender is Jaden Jernigan. How surprised are you at that, given the fact that he didn't get to play last year because of some lingering impacts after COVID? How much does that surprise you that he's been able to do that?
It does surprise me, and it's interesting you mentioned that. We had that discussion in our staff meeting this morning. I was getting concerned at the latter part of the season last year whether he was ever going to play again.
Really?
Just based on his body was not as strong as what it was. He was losing weight. He wasn't in the flow. The doctors, for all the right reasons, weren't letting him do much, not only in football but in the weight room. And then he got released, and he's done better. And where he's really improved is in his pass rush skills, his ability to use his hands with all the different mechanics defensive linemen use to rush the passer. And he's understanding now what his strengths are. His strengths are his quickness. And he's using techniques that allow him to use those strengths, which is his quickness and his ability to move side to side. And he's been very productive this year because of those things.
He seems like someone who's really hungry, really likes to play, and really wants to play. I guess this season would be evidence of that, right?
He's had a turnaround. Because when he wasn't playing, and this happens to players, you see it in a redshirt mode. Guys just kind of go blah.
Yeah.
Because they're into the middle of the season or latter part of it, and they come to practice every day, and in their mind they're thinking, I'm not playing in the games. I'm not a factor anyway. Why am I even at practice? He went through that all last year. So at some point, maybe it's difficult to shake that. But he's done a really good job, and he's enjoying his time now and enjoying being on the defense. It's having a lot of success and playing a role in that success.
I was looking at some of the analytics from the first 2 conference games specifically, and I saw that Christian Holmes, your corner, has been targeted only 5 times in 2 games. What does that say about how much he's improved and what everyone else has noticed about his improvement since last year?
We noticed that, and it's interesting. We felt like that we would be attacked evenly on both sides, but it hasn't been that for whatever reason, and it's been interesting. Christian is in much better condition now than he was last year. He fell in the same category as Tay Martin, Josh Seals, those guys that transferred in here that weren't able to train with Coach Glass because of COVID. never really got in good physical condition last year during the season, and he's one of those guys. And now he's in good physical condition. So he feels much different, more comfortable. He feels like he can be aggressive and attack the football, and he's playing better for those reasons.
It's easy to forget, I think, for people to forget that Spencer Sanders missed the first game. And then you had to backdate from that the beginning of what was his COVID protocol. So how much could an off week help him? Because, again, going back to what we said, he jumps right in. It's game plan, game plan, game plan. Now he gets a chance to sort of pull back and see a bigger picture, I guess. How much could it help him?
He is in good physical condition now. You've seen that by his running. Mm-hmm. He's not getting fatigued in the games. So this will help him. The reason he got into difficult situation in the last game is, one, we didn't protect very well again.
Right.
Okay, so with quarterbacks, they rely on good protection or average protection, and our protection was poor in the last game. So he forced himself throwing off his back foot multiple times, and that's why he threw interceptions, but even the ones that they didn't catch were still 2 feet above his target. So we have to protect him better first, and then he's got to learn to set his feet and transfer his weight forward like he did in the games before that.
Mm-hmm.
And that will be something we can press to work this week.
Final thought, and we've discussed this a little bit, but given even what we're seeing in the Big 12 through the first 2 weeks, mm-hmm. are you more convinced than ever that special teams is going to play an enormous role in how this conference shakes out, maybe more than usual?
It has been more so in the number of games that we have up to this point. You're seeing a kick return, a punt return, a block punt, something in those areas that's playing more of a role in wins and losses in conference play in this league than it has been in years.
Yeah.
The reason for that is because overall this conference is playing better defense. When you get into shootouts and the final score is 42-49, those special teams plays almost are like a deep pass play, a 55-yard touchdown pass. And we don't notice them because there were so many points scored in the game.
Sure.
Well, this year, there's a considerable fewer number of points that are being scored in the games. And so these special teams plays that you're referring to are showing up more in the win-loss column than they have in 10 years in this league.
Well, speaking of special teams, the Cowboys' main man in the return game, Brennan Presley, also a terrific receiver, will be with Jessica when we return.
It's time for Ask the Coach, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Hi, Coach Gundy. This is Kayla. What is your favorite thing about Stillwater?
Stillwater I call Happyville. I have always said that we're very fortunate. We still kind of live in a bubble. We're an hour away from a big city. Not that there's anything against a big city, but we're somewhat protected here just from a lot of things. We don't have to worry as much about our children. And we don't deal with a lot of traffic, which I worry about my kids driving all the time, and we don't even deal with traffic. So I just think we're in a community where people care about each other. I enjoy living in a college town. I think that's pretty cool. And we have a school system where most of our young people grow up together. We still have some camaraderie with essentially the one high school. The students all know each other and support each other. I think those things are important, so I enjoy that about Stillwater.
For you, life seemed to stand still this year, except for the pain in your knee. When you can't do what you love to do, it's time to take care of it. If you've put off the joint replacement you need this year, now is the time. Mercy's experts are ready to safely replace your knee so you can live without pain. Get back to what you love, because life's too short to wait. To learn more, visit mercy.net/OSU knee guide.
At OG&E, the energy we deliver is more than electrical. We energize education by supporting schools to help our children reach their potential. So every time you see Big Orange out there working for you, remember we're also working to turn power into empowerment. Because at OG&E, we do more than energize a power grid. At OG&E, we energize life.
Academy Sports and Outdoors is your Nike headquarters. We are proud to offer the best and newest Nike apparel, footwear, and sports equipment. From football to baseball, basketball to soccer, and everything in between, Academy is your place for Nike. For back to school and back to the field, head to toe, your home for Nike is Academy Sports and Outdoors.
There are a great many things that can be found on the road. The giant blue whale in central Oklahoma. Musicians in search of that perfect melody. You'll even discover the center of the universe. You'll find stories of lives led, challenges met, and men who raise pigeons. They're all out there waiting to be discovered. All you have to do is follow the road. Phillips 66. Live to the full.
Decorative towel. There was a mess. I wiped up a mess. Yeah, you...
Where is the Never mind, I found it!
Welcome back, football fans. We'll see you in the fridge.
Welcome back to the Orange Power Podcast. I'm Jessica Morrey, and I am joined by wide receiver Brennan Presley. BP, thank you for being our guest this week.
Thank you for having me.
All right, it is a bye week, so you guys are getting some much-needed rest. 5-0 going into the bye week. What's kind of your game plan for this weekend?
We have practice today, so Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday have a little bit of a run and lift, and then have the weekend off to get our legs and bodies back under us for next week.
Are you going to go home and just kind of hang out in Bixby, or what are your plans?
I'm going to go home. I think my brother has a game. My youngest brother has a game Thursday. Braylon has a game Friday, and then just chill with my family Saturday.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
That's a nice opportunity. You don't get to do that a lot during.
Never really get to do that. I won't get to do this again until maybe Christmas.
Yeah, you got to take advantage of it for sure. So just how exciting has the past 5 weeks been for you guys? Obviously there's been some close games, some exciting games, but y'all have been able to get the job done and get the wins.
It's been a roller coaster. Everything is fun when you win, but when you're in the game, whether it's, Missouri State at the beginning of the year, that being so close, and then Tulsa, just the ups and downs of every single game. It's been kind of like a roller coaster of emotions. But then after the game, once you win, all this stuff, you start to think about all the stuff you've done in the off season and how it starts to pay off now. So, it's a roller coaster, but it's worth it at the end of the day.
And we were kind of talking before we started recording at the beginning of the year. Some of our senior receivers, older receivers, Tay Martin, Braden Johnson, went down with injuries. And you kind of had to step up as one of the older guys, even though you're not one of the older guys. What was that like for you?
It was just a lot. you don't really expect that from most people coming sophomore year. So it was not really. It was a shock. Yeah, it was just a shock. But when you ask for a lot and when you want a lot, then you kind of have to prepare yourself for it. So it was just no time to waste. You just try to focus on the young guys, get them ready, because they were and they did step up and help us in big cases.
And Tay Martin's back, Braden Johnson's still out, but having him back, how big has that been for you?
It's been so big. He gives us the confidence that maybe we don't have in ourselves, just to go out there and make plays. So when he's making plays, it makes us, say to ourselves, hey, we want to make the same plays. So it just builds up the whole offense and the whole receiving core.
And from your point of view, what's it like watching this defense, knowing that when they go out there, it's not too long until you guys are going to be back out there, because they're going to get you guys the ball back?
It was very exciting, in the fact that if we go 3 an hour or something like that, or because we have a bunch of long drives, but we set ourselves back with penalties and stuff. So, it's kind of refreshing knowing that, all right, we can move the ball. We know what we're doing. Defense guard is going to go out there and get a stop, and then we can, come back and score the next time. So our confidence never wavers, and it only even grows with the defense out there.
And Jalen Warren's been playing really well, coming in, a transfer from Utah State. Not a lot of people knew a ton about him. We don't really even know a ton about him here. We haven't gotten a chance to talk with him. But what is he like to you? What is he like getting to play with him and getting to have him around?
Oh, he's fun. I mean, I think even in the spring, summer, all that stuff, like, you saw that, like, hey, this guy has, like, potential. So I think once he got his shot and, like, you know, he just ran with it. So I think he's very deserving of it. I mean, he always works hard. I mean, the day after Boise and the day after, like, the last game, Baylor, like, Kansas State, like, tough games, and we're out there running. Like, he's first. He's coming first in hundreds, and he's running his butt off. So that just lets everybody know, hey, if that guy can go and take a beating and do all this stuff and still come the next day and, like, work his butt off and tail off, then, like, it gives you the sense, like, hey, like, this guy, he's a workaholic. Like, he's not going to stop, and he's, like, coming for even more. So I'm just very proud of him, and, like, everything he's getting, he deserves.
That's awesome. What's it like watching him play, you know, knowing that it's really hard to take him down? I think they called him a wrecking ball or bowling ball. Like, is that an accurate description?
Yes, ma'am. It's inspirational. Because I'll be blocking and I'll see him, like, take a hit, and I'm just like, dang, like, it looks harder on the field. Like, it may not look that bad on TV, but like, there's some big guys out there, and he's, like, taking the hits, and I'm like, sometimes I'm like, dude, like, how are you still up? Because I mean, I take some hits, and I'm like that got me. So I don't know how he does that over and over again.
That's wild.
It is. It's very crazy.
I'm glad he's on our side, though, for sure. Okay, so this last game, you know, obviously was a huge game. It was also the 2011 reunion. You grew up an Oklahoma State fan, so what was that like, getting to see all of those guys back here, you know, the Brandon Weedens, the Justin Blackmans, I mean, all of those guys back here in Stillwater. What was that like for you?
It was very special because, I mean, like, growing up Oklahoma State fan, like, all you seeing is just, you know, images of that team and also, like, other teams and the great players that have came through here. So just seeing that team and that team being, like, you know, the only Big 12 championship team, that's, like, they're, like, superstars to us. And for people who from Oklahoma, they're, like, just, like, superstars. So, like, just seeing all them and then it was, like, a dream come true, like, being from Oklahoma. And now, like, being in that position of, like have a chance to still fight for that spot and be a Big 12 champ, it's, like, it's kind of surreal at this point.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I feel like you got to meet Justin Blackman.
Mm-hmm.
Had you met him before?
Never.
What was that like when he came? Were you expecting him to come in the locker room, or, like, tell me the whole story?
We were in a team. We were in, like, the offensive team meeting that we had before. Like, he gets sent back to the hotel and get ready for the game. And, like, Dunn said something like, you know, we're going to have a special guest or something like that, you know, if he shows up. And I turned to 10, I'm like, I bet you it's Justin Blackman. I was like, I bet you it's him. And all of a sudden he walks in, and I was like, told you. And, like, he's a lot shorter than you think. Like, he's not, like, 6'4", 6'3". He looks big on, like, tape, but he's, like, 6 foot, maybe 6'1", something. And it was just very, like, cool, like, knowing that, like when you see a guy like that, you're like, hey, that guy did this and this and that while he's here. He's probably one of the greatest, like, college receivers, like, ever. So just seeing him in the flesh and, like, him, like, giving us words of inspiration, it was very uplifting.
What did he say?
He was just telling us, you know, we are the original freak show, and, like, you know, we make the offense go, and we have the power to, like, you know, do whatever we want. Like, it's in our hands at this point. So we go out there and make plays and stuff like that. That helps the running backs. That helps the quarterback. That gives confidence to the defense. Like, what we do on the field can determine, you know, like, where we go. So it was just very, like, uplifting.
Tay said in the post-game presser that Justin shook his hand, and he's like, I'm not going to wash my hand. Was that a moment like that for you? Did you get to shake his hand?
No, I didn't get to shake his hand, but it was just a moment I will never forget.
Do you kind of look at him and be like, hey, you know, in a couple years, like, that could be me. Like, I could be coming back in 10, 12 years from now and a reunion for my team being the Big 12 champs, you know, and people going crazy when I'm on the big screen. Like, do you kind of think about that, or is that kind of out of your mind?
Nah, I definitely think about it. I mean, I think that's something, like, you have to think about at a certain point, like, because your goal is to be Big 12 champs. So, you know, if you win that, then, like, you're going to come back here and you're going to celebrate it. So I think just having those dreams of, you know, want to become Big 12 champs and stuff like that, it definitely stays in my mind, like, all the time.
And we had Jamie Blatnick on the podcast last week, and he was defensive end on that 2011 team. And he was talking about how at practice, he's back here now as a strength and conditioning coach, but he was talking about practice. You came up to him and were asking him kind of like, what was the secret? Like, what, how are you guys able to do it? What did he tell you? And how cool is that you have people like that, Rashedi Jones and some of these guys back, to talk with you guys?
He just said the team, like they were just like super close. Like they just worked hard all the time. Like it was to a point where you would be the odd man out if you did something wrong. Like if you weren't focused on your grades, focused on your studying. Like after they lost the Iowa State game, like it wasn't like, oh my gosh, like we lost. It was back to work the next day. Like they were just super hungry and super just like ready for like any challenge they had. So I think that was really what he told me, and I think that what we could have in the team this year.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so changing subjects a little bit. So the other day, we were out at Boone Pickens Stadium, and I was doing a little shoot with Pistol Pete, and you got to see him, and you were so excited. And he didn't have the head on, and you were like, wait, is this legal? Like, am I allowed to see you? But you had all these questions for him. It was just, like, such a cool moment to witness because you were genuinely so excited to meet him, and it was so, like, pure and sweet, and I just loved it. But you were like, I have all these questions, and of course he was answering them. He was great. But what was that like for you? You were like, this made my day. Like I got to meet Pistol Pete. Like especially like at that point, you're like, okay, you're Brennan Presley, you're starting wide receiver here at Oklahoma State, but you're also a native Oklahoman and a diehard Oklahoma State fan. I mean, so what was that like for you when you got to talk to Pistol Pete?
At that point, I was a fan. Like I wasn't a player. I was just a fan. Because like I said, growing up here, like all this stuff that I've seen, like playing on the TV, like putting the Oklahoma State like jersey on, all that stuff is surreal. Like every single time I just like embrace it. I don't like to take it for granted. So just seeing stuff like that, and it's just cool to me because you never would have thought like, hey, I'd be in this position.
What questions did you ask Pistol Pete?
Well, I think I asked him like, is he the same guy every single year? Do people know who he is? I think he had something on his belt. He's the 98th guy. The head weighs like 40 pounds. Like all this stuff. And the shotgun is a shotgun real? 'Cause that shotgun's loud.
It's so loud.
That shotgun is very loud. It gets me. It gets me every single time. Even when I'm looking at it. Because I don't expect it to be that loud.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
I don't know how it's that loud.
I don't know why it's that loud.
I'm right there with you. I feel like that's I went out there to get pictures of Brandon Whedon when he was doing like the Orange Power chants, and I just didn't even think about it. And I was like, well, Pistol Pete's out here, cool. And I didn't realize he was going to shoot the gun. And my ears that's the closest I've probably ever been.
Yeah.
And my ears, like, they might still be ringing. Like, that was, I hope no one got that on camera, like the reaction of me, like,
it just sounds like an explosion, like just a big boom.
Yeah.
So it's scary.
Yeah. I worry that if like there was something that like an explosion or something, like I would just be like, oh.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, it's time to cheer. But yeah, that was just I just loved that moment because like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes people can be like, oh, I'm too cool for that. Like, whatever, it's Pistol Pete. Like, that's cool. But you were so genuinely excited, and I just thought that was so cool. I sat with near your family a little bit during that game, and I told them that story. And I was just like, this was such a cool moment. And I was like, you have a very, nice son. You raised a good kid. So you meet Pistol Pete, and then like a week later, there's a horse on the field, and you got to ride the horse. So what was that like?
That was scary. I've never rode a horse before, so that was my first time like being on the horse. It was just kind of like scary because I was just thinking like, if this horse takes off, I don't know how to ride it. The dude has the little saddle like
reins.
The dude has the reins. So I was like, if he takes off, I'm holding on to his saddle. I'm probably gonna fall, and like this is not gonna be good. Like someone is gonna. I was just thinking like, do not hurt yourself before you play Baylor.
But you guys take a picture on it, and you looked like like I saw that picture, and I was like, oh, like BP knows what he's doing.
I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea. And I intend not to know. I probably won't get on the horse again.
But I mean, that's just like a cool, like, what a random fun thing.
Yeah. It was a cool experience, but I don't think it's for me.
Yeah. But at least you got to try it.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Okay, so I talked to Coach Dunn a little bit before the season, and he was like, hey, if you ever interview Brennan, you have to ask him what his favorite candy is.
Mm-hmm.
So he firmly believes that you are very into candy. Like, you love candy. That was his main point. So what is your favorite candy? This is a question from Coach Dunn. So what is your favorite candy?
Probably sweet tart ropes.
Okay.
Those probably top it. But I like the Airhead Sour Field Bites. I like those. I have some Trolleys, like Sour Bites, which it's like blue raspberry, green apple, and strawberry. They made some other ones. I think it's berry, sweet tart ropes, or it's like, I think it's green apple and watermelon. Those are good. They have some other ones. I forgot what they're called. Trolleys is probably my favorite brand. Starburst Minis are up there. So if it's sweet tart ropes, then Starburst Minis is a close second. I don't really like a bunch of chocolate. My favorite is chocolate is Snickers and probably peanut M&Ms. But yeah, probably sweet tart ropes, and then Starburst Minis is a close second.
Are the Starburst Minis better than the regular size Starburst?
Yes.
Why?
Well, because it's unpackaged. So, you can just, get as many as you want.
Yeah.
And they're just sweeter.
Okay.
The regular Starburst, when you eat them, they kind of, sink into your teeth. And
Yeah.
it's kind of, chewy.
Yeah.
The unwrapped ones, the minis, they're chewy, but they're, it's a good type of chewy. They don't really stick to your mouth. So, you could put maybe, 3 in and eat them all. And
Yeah.
they leave, a good taste.
Okay,
So,
good to know.
So, I'll walk around... I think Fridays when we do our walkthroughs, I'll take some with me to every single walkthrough, and usually I'll disperse them with people I see.
That's nice of you.
I usually get some to T-Harp.
That's nice of you. So, okay, what's your favorite? If it was regular Starburst, when they have those 2-packs or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What's your dream combo in the 2-pack?
Flavor-wise?
Yeah. These are some hard-hitting questions.
Because I'm a fan of sour stuff, but I'm not too sour. Too sour gets me. So
Yeah.
Sour Patch Kids. I don't like regular Sour Patch Kids, but Sour Patch Watermelons is good because it's sweet and sour.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
So I'd probably say blue raspberry and watermelon.
Are those the flavors of Starburst?
I think they have do they have a blue one?
I don't think so.
Then
It's a secret one.
I would just go pink and red.
Okay, pink and red.
Pink
okay.
and red, maybe.
Yeah.
Those are the two
Yeah.
dominant ones.
See, I'm a 2. I would like to have 2 pinks. That would be cool to
2
have.
pinks?
Yeah, that's kind of my vibe. But that's a hot take. I feel in the Starburst world.
Because everyone's going for the pink or red. I don't
like the red. I will not eat the red.
Why not?
I just don't like red candy.
Just the color or flavor or?
All of it. I don't know. I just don't if I get a box of Mike and Ike's or something. I don't eat the red one.
Because red is cherry, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not a fan of cherry.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of. I like strawberry more than
Yeah.
cherry. But the red, they don't overflow me with
Yeah.
that's too much cherry.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just not into it.
The licorice, I hate licorice.
Oh yeah.
Because it doesn't have. It's so bland.
Yeah.
It's the blandest candy I've ever tasted.
Yeah. Again, hard-hitting questions coming on the Orange Power Podcast. We're going to dive into some candy talk. Okay, switching kind of the subject back to football a little bit. What is besides eating candy, your favorite things to do outside of football?
My game system is at home, so it's a family game system, so I don't play the game that much. I really watch TV. I watch a bunch of movies. Since I eat a bunch of candy, I eat popcorn. So I love to eat popcorn. I love to eat. So usually if I watch a movie, I'll eat popcorn, and then I'll have my assortment of candies that I'll eat along with my popcorn. I'll mix it. But I'm really I'm really a movie guy. I love bowling.
Okay.
I went bowling a ton this summer.
Okay.
So
are you pretty good?
I got good.
Okay.
I got very good. I think the game of my life that I had over the summer, CJ Tate, he beat me. He beat me barely because, I had 5 or 6 strikes in that one game, and then I folded on the last couple sets. I should have had a strike, but they kind of got me. So, yeah, it's probably bowling. Bowling is probably my favorite hobby if I got to do it a lot, and if it didn't cost so much, I would probably do bowling a lot.
Do you feel like you would be the person who would get their own bowling ball?
Yes. I was actually thinking about getting my own bowling ball. But,
that would be awesome.
But I can't go that much. So
yeah,
it's
that's true. In the off season, I guess.
I actually looked into it. I think it's $150.
Yeah.
Because it's the way you gotta I was never much of a spinner.
Yeah.
But, like, the more I went, I was like, all right, I'm going to practice. So I really was practicing. I would practice my spin, but it would always change. So I was like, if I get my own bowling ball, it's never going to change. I could throw it the same, like, all this stuff.
I could see you rolling up with, like, the little, like, bag.
Oh, definitely.
And just be ready to go and just intimidating people because they'd be like, wow, this guy knows what's up.
Because, like, I mean, like, I'll talk trash. Like, I mean, I talk trash in the field. I'll talk trash when I'm bowling. I'll talk trash, be like, hey, you like, I know you're not going to win. Like, you got to buy me food if you don't win. Like, all that. Like, I'm talking trash if we go bowling.
What was your best bowling score?
181.
Okay.
Which is not that good. But if you think about, put this in perspective, I was beating CJ Tate with 1 frame to go. And he had like 151, and we had like 3 strikes in a row. So like if I would have got another strike, and then another shot, it would have multiplied to maybe like 220, 230.
Yeah.
CJ did what I didn't do, and he got 210.
Okay.
So like I had 173 with 1 frame to go, and I only got 181. So if you put it in perspective, then I could have been a 220 game.
Yeah, it could have been. It could have been. I'm absolutely awful at bowling, so I cannot talk. So okay, movies. What are some of your favorite movies?
Kind of all over the yard. I love Shawshank Redemption. Which is kind of like an oldie.
Okay.
I like Friends with Benefits with Justin Timberlake.
Yeah.
And I'm a big Marvel fan.
Okay.
I love action movies, so almost anything with like Liam Neeson in it is good. That's kind of what I've been on. Denzel. I don't watch a lot of, like, I don't really like John Q. I kind of like, I don't know why. It was
really sad.
Something sits with me.
Yeah.
I like.
Wait, that was the sad one, right?
Yeah. Like when he goes to the hospital.
Yeah, that movie is so sad.
I know.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I remember watching that, and that's like the most depressing movie I've ever seen.
Like him, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
I love the White House movies.
Okay.
Like White House Down, Olympus Has Fallen, Angel Has Fallen. Like I love all of them.
Okay.
Venom just came out.
Okay.
So like the more like I'm gonna go see that. I love going to the movies. Actually.
I love going to the movies too. Yeah.
But I don't get a chance to go that much.
Yeah.
So it's really like action movies.
Okay.
I'm not really like a big like Barbie, like, Frozen type guy.
Okay.
Like, maybe some rom-coms, but even then those get cheesy.
Yeah.
So Friends with Benefits is probably that's probably like the lowest I'll go.
Yeah.
Other than that, I like Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
That one's so funny.
See, that was a good one.
That is a good one. That's a little bit of an older one.
Yeah.
I feel like. What was the one with Paul Rudd and where he has to find the groomsman for his wedding? I Love You, Man. Have you seen that one?
No, I don't think so.
That one's very good.
It is?
Yeah, I think it'd be really. Yeah, if you like Forgetting Sarah Marshall, you would like I Love You, Man. It's really funny.
I've seen it like suggested.
Yeah, it's super funny.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that one. What Marvel? I'm not a big Marvel person, so I probably couldn't even like name a lot of Marvel things. But like, what's your favorite Marvel character?
Spider-Man.
Okay.
I love Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man and Iron Man.
Okay.
Yeah, those are probably two of my favorites. Because the other one is like, it's just like the individual movies. Like, of course, like the Avengers and all this stuff, that's cool. But like, if the individual movies are like, like if Hulk made more than 3 movies, then I'd like it. Like they have the 2003 Hulk. And then the 2008 Hulk. So, but oh my bad. They have the old school Hulk. So I guess it's like 3. So like they have to make more of like the actual Hulk movies to actually like get people like interested.
Okay, weird that you say Hulk because Hulk is in I Love You, Man.
He is?
Yeah.
At least like the guy that plays
Yeah,
Hulk?
Lou Ferrigno.
He does?
Yeah, he's in the movie.
Which one? The guy that plays the 2003 Hulk or the like 2008 one?
I'm not gonna know that.
It's probably the 2003 one.
I don't know. Isn't his name Lou Ferrigno? Like the big guy? Yeah, that guy. He's in it, and like they're all like they talk about it, like you don't want to make him angry, and the guy gets like really mad. But yeah, so I feel like there you go. That's another reason to watch that movie. Okay, so if you could do anything with your career after football, obviously, hopefully a very long football career, what would you want to do?
Honestly, that's what I'm still trying to figure out.
Okay, you have time.
Yeah, I really like don't know, and like sometimes I kind of freak out because I'm like, like, what do I need to do? But then like I realize like whatever you pick out you're gonna do, I'm not saying like you're gonna do it for like 50 years, but like you'll do it for a while. So I think I'm just trying to figure that out, just like because we're around football so much.
Yeah.
That it's not like you don't get a chance to like see what else you like. But it's like, I mean, like, I love bowling, but I'm not going to become a professional bowler. Like, I'm not just going to bowl the rest of my life.
That'd be cool, though.
Yeah, it'd be really cool. So, but at the same time, you try to be, like, realistic. Like, hey, like, what do I like to do without... Because I'm all about, like, you know, whatever you like to do, not really, like... Of course, money is, like, cool.
Yeah.
But if you don't like doing something, then it's just going to, like, eat at you. So,
yeah.
Just trying to, like, really figure that out. Because I really don't know yet.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, you have tons of time to decide, so I feel like it's not like a rush. But yeah, there's little, like, I was talking, we had Malcolm Rodriguez on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and he said he was taking a photography class, so he was, like, learning photography and stuff like that, and he's like, I don't think I'll be a professional photographer, but he's like, that's a fun thing to try.
Yeah, it's cool.
So, like, are there any kind of classes or anything like that you'd kind of want to branch out and try, or have time to try, I should say?
Because I'm in, like, business classes right now.
Okay, that's smart.
I just think that's, like, the most typical thing that people, like, mostly go to.
Yeah.
I mean, because I like sports. I would love to, like, comment on sports. So, like, be, like, a commentator or stuff like that. That stuff be cool. But, I mean, I don't know. Like, my interests are very... Because I'm, like, I will start something, and this is not everything. But, like, most of the time, like, I'll start something... And it's like, I'm so young, so my interest will be like, oh, like, this is cool. Like, this is cool. So, like, my interest just kind of jumps. So,
no, I feel that.
So, that's kind of, like, where I am right now. Like, I'll like something and be like, oh, like, this show is cool. And then, like, I'll see another, like, oh, this ad makes this show look cool. And then just jump from, like, show to show to show.
Yeah.
So.
No, I feel that. That was, like, literally me in high school. I tried, like, everything because I was like, okay, what? And I was bad at all of it. So, like, that didn't really help. But I was like, what am I going to try? I was like, oh, I'm going to try, like, theater. And I was like, oh, not good at that. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to try the sports. And not good at that. So it was like, what am I going to do? And then luckily I found the broadcasting. So you don't have to be, it's, you know, if I'm not good at it, I can talk about it. So I think I found my calling with that one. But yeah, the broadcasting thing for you, I think that's a very realistic possibility. And so, yeah, the sports media program here is obviously, like, very good, but there's just not a ton of time to be able to do that kind of stuff. It's not like you can just be like, hey, I'm going to, you know, practice play-by-play for this game that I'm playing in right now.
It's just hard to, like, try to figure out your interests when you're also trying to, like, focus on, like, a game that you have, like, this week or something like that. So it's like you kind of don't want to take your focus away from it, like, too much.
Yeah.
But also, like, you know, you have a job at the same time, basically. So it's just kind of like balancing interests at this point. So I'm really just trying to find out, like, what I like to do at this point.
Yeah.
At least not what I like to do, but, like, you know, what would be fun for me, I guess. I like cooking.
Oh, okay.
I like cooking. I love cooking.
What kind of things do you cook?
My main dish that I like to cook is quesadillas.
Okay, that's a great dish. Everyone loves quesadillas.
I love quesadillas.
What's your most, like, challenging
thing
dish that you can, like, cook well or that you've liked to cook?
Maybe spaghetti.
That's not hard.
I know, but just the thought of it,
That's, like, the easiest thing you could make.
Like, anything where you have to maybe, like...
boil water?
Well, it's, like, multiple steps.
Yeah.
Because my roommate is Jordan Reagan, and we cook, like, during the summer.
Yeah.
We cooked something during the summer. It was, like, sliders. We cooked some sliders.
Yeah.
And that was, like, a cool project. Like, we did all that stuff, follow the directions. But,
like the recipes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not, like... Since I don't cook that much, I love cooking when I go home. So, like, when I go home, my mom, she cooks all the time. So I'll watch her cook, like, whatever she cooks. And so I'm like, oh, Mom, I wish I could do that. She's like, you can. All you got to do is just follow direction.
Yeah.
But then, like, when I leave practice, like, I go home.
You don't want to cook.
I got homework and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm tired. And, like, it's so much easier just to, like, grab my keys and go to Cane's. If I go to Cane's, I can get a Caniac combo, replace the coleslaw with the fries, get an extra piece of toast for, like, basically $13.
Wow.
Which is, like, all the same.
Yeah.
I think a lot about food. And I think about, like, all right, what costs this? What costs that? Like, will it challenge me?
Now I'm very hungry. But, all right, so we got a bye week. You're going to go home and then hit the road and go play at Texas. Obviously, growing up an Oklahoma State fan, being from Oklahoma, you know, the rivalry with Texas. So how excited are you to kind of go down to Austin and play down there?
I'm very excited because just from hearing from the players, like the stadium, all this stuff, like it gets very, very rowdy. So I'm actually, like, rooting for them this weekend against OU. because I would love like an environment like that, you know, going to Texas with us 5-0,
Yeah.
them 5-1. So I would just like love like, you know, you always want a team at their best when you play them. So like if they're at their best and we're at their best when we go in there, because then you would like to see where you are. Like,
Yeah.
If a team's at their best and you're at their best, and whether you win or lose, you come out like, okay, this is the type of team we are. This is the type of team we are. So whether you win and you think, you know, hey, let's stack these up, or, you know, you lose and you think, okay, we can still bounce back from this. It just builds character. So, like, I think, you know, whatever happens this weekend between Texas and OU, when we go down there and play them in 2 weeks, it's going to be a fun game, fun environment. So I'm just, like, ready for it.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time. That game has not been announced, the time of it. It's either going to be 11 a.m. on Fox or 6:30 on ABC. So, again, it depends on what happens with Texas OU. But either way, 11 o'clock, 6:30, it's going to be fun. It's going to be one of the most talked about games nationally, no matter what happens in Texas OU, especially with us being undefeated. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a fun weekend down in Austin for sure.
Yeah, I'm like so excited. This is like what you dream of as like a kid, just like, you know, oh, this is so fun.
Yeah, it is for sure going to be a good time. Well, thank you so much, Brennan, for joining me. Great conversation from candy to movies to football to all sorts of things. Super good getting to know you and getting to talk to you a little bit more. And thank you guys for listening and watching the Orange Power Podcast. We will be right back here next week.